Hi guys, my name is Dominey Drew and I'm a dating and relationship coach helping people to work through the issues that they experience in their dating lives through self-mastery, through really solving the underlying problem that's causing the issue in the first place. And I really wanted to talk a little bit about the main issues that I come across in my clientele primarily. I've mostly worked with men in my career. I've just recently opened up to working with women as well, but for a long time I was really working exclusively with men, helping single men to attract their life partner through personal and relationship coaching. And the main issues that I've come across are primarily approach anxiety, fear of rejection, and low self-confidence. And what's interesting about these three topics is that they're really all the same issue. They all stem from the same core problem. And that core problem is the practice of not standing in your power, a fear of stepping into the power of who you are. Now, let's start with approach anxiety. Approaching isn't actually scary in itself, right? If you just think of the logistics of moving your body physically closer to the body of another human being, that's something you do a lot of times throughout the day with no fear at all. It becomes an anxiety when you're approaching an attractive woman or an attractive man, and suddenly the stakes are a little higher, right? Suddenly a thing which in itself is not actually scary at all is suddenly making your palms sweat and your heart race, right? So what's the difference there? The difference is that when you approach someone that you find attractive, suddenly there's something to lose. There's a risk involved and you're afraid of losing out on that risk, right? Or making that risk and having it fail. If though you are able to confidently stand in your power, unattached from the result of that interaction. In other words, if you were able to approach and have a wonderful conversation with this person, whether it ended up in you dating her or not, then there would be no reason to fear and the anxiety would dissipate. So there comes to be a kind of disproportionate valuing of the other person. Oh my gosh, this woman's out of my league. Most of the times I hear people say that, they're talking about someone who just walked in the door. So you have no idea who this person is. She could be a horrible, horrible person. But you're already deciding that because she's aesthetically appealing to your eye, that she is then worth more than you, and now we're into the fear of rejection. So here we are, fear of rejection. Same thing. I want to approach, but I'm afraid that she might say no. Okay, great. Somebody's saying no to you. If you say, hey, can you pass me that? And somebody says, no, I can't. There's actually no reason to fear of that either, right? That's not a scary thing. And by a reason to fear, I don't mean that it's silly that you have this fear. There's a very good reason in your system why you have the fear. But if we look at it logically, because the fear exists on an emotional level, that's a different level than the logic. Logically, there's no reason to be afraid here, right? Even if you get rejected, it's just words from another human being. It's not actually going to hurt you. Someone coming at you with a knife is a reason to be afraid, to evoke fear. So what is it about potential words from another person? Potential words. She hasn't even said no yet. You're already afraid of the rejection. She hasn't even said anything yet, right? So you can see how wrapped up in your head you're getting, whereas really the interaction could just be perfectly pleasant. And so what's happening there is you're attaching something to that. Well, if she rejects me, that means I'm worthless, I'm not good enough, I'm undesirable, nobody's ever going to love me, I was right all along, mom was right about me. All of these little stories are happening in your mind, and you're attaching them to her rejection, to her potential rejection. Now, when you do that, you're putting a lot of pressure on what should be a very casual and enjoyable interaction. And that makes it more likely to fail. So again, you're giving her the power, or him the power. If you were to just go up and say, hi, I think you're wonderful. Would you like to go to tea with me? And they say no, and you just hear the no, then you go, okay, have a great day. And you don't even think anything more of it. But if you give her the power, if you give her your power, if you if you decide that if her rejection equals your lack of worth, well, now the rejection's pretty scary, because now, and who would even approach? Why would you even approach her? There's the approach anxiety. See how these are all related. Why would you even approach her if her potential rejection might mean that this confirmation that you are actually worthless? See how there's this whole world built up in your mind about this interaction, and really none of it exists. It's just here. None of what I am saying here exists outside of you at all. But these are the worlds in which we get ourselves, right? In which we get stuck. Okay, low self-confidence, same thing, right? If you walk in with high self-confidence and you have an interaction and it goes well or it doesn't go well, you will be happy walking away. So what I focus on with my clients is how to achieve a state of really invincible self-worth and happiness, right? So in other words, the kind of emotion, the kind of self-confidence that wells up from within, right? That you carry with you everywhere you go. And then it doesn't matter what happens outside of you because you're already happy and confident. Does that make sense? So this is an inner problem. And that's why I work in the realm of the inner, because here is where the source of the problem lies. So if somebody were to come to me and say, I have approach anxiety, and say, I have a technique for you, or here, try saying this to her, that's a Band-Aid. Because the real issue is a lack of self-worth. But if you work with me and you address that underlying cause that's causing a lack of self-worth, well then approach anxiety fades. Fear of standing in your power fades. Low self-confidence fades. Fear of rejection fades, because there's nothing to be afraid of. You are whole here. And then you approach who and when you want. So you get to this place where it's this incredible freedom and ability to move through the world freely and confidently and joyfully and effortlessly. And that is the most attractive place you can possibly be. From that place, the women and men that you desire are effortlessly and magnetically drawn to you. But it doesn't matter anyway, because you're already joyful and happy as it is. This is achievable for you. This is what's possible for you. If you'd like to learn more, reach out. I'd be happy to chat.